like hearing about that. All right. That's all right. So, let's see if we can figure out where we left off last week. So, we were in chapter 2, and I think it's section 1. Oh, we finished section 1 and we went on to section 2, which was the Reinterpretation of Defenses. Isn't that a great title? The reinterpretation of all your defenses. I know that's not the title of the section in the edited version.
Do I have the right book?
Yes, you do. Does it say text on it?
No.
Oh, wrong one. There might be a text right here.
I already opened it.
Oops. You can just put it back. This is also the workbook. Yeah, there might be this one back on the bookshelf. You might want to just check.
Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah, you can just put that back on the bookshelf. Okay, so it's the Reinterpretation of Defenses. Okay. And so I'm just going to start at the beginning. Let's see, this. Okay, actually. Okay, I'm going to start within that first paragraph where it says, that is why the Bible speaks of the peace of God which passeth human understanding. Does everybody see it that has it? Okay. There, in paragraph, Reinterpretation of Defenses, it starts off and it says, when you're afraid of anything. When you're afraid of anything. Does everybody see it? Okay. All right. Okay. So, last week we talked, it was a whole class about mental illness and mental health. Wasn't that a fun class?
Yeah.
Well, we talked all about mental illness. Yes, it was a very cheery class. Very cheerful class. And we talked about mental health and mental illness. Does anybody remember what it said about mental illness?
That when you are seeking outside of yourself, your mental illness is going to be worse. And when you're seeking internally, that's where your peace comes from.
Thank
mental
you.
Illness is still there, but it's minimal.
Thank you very much. It says all mental illness is some form of external searching. And we were saying that in the edited version it says all illness is some form of external searching. And in here it says all mental illness, which I really liked, that he was going to talk about something we could relate with. Mental illness, okay? So mental illness is some form of external searching, and it said that health is inner peace. And he said mental health is inner peace, and you know you have mental health when you are able to remain unshaken by lack of love from without and capable through your own miracles of correcting the external conditions which proceed from lack of love in others. Isn't that a great definition of mental health? You are capable of remaining unshaken. By what? By lack of love from without. Right? So when someone around you is not expressing love, you are able to remain unshaken. And not only that, but you are also capable through miracles, which means right thinking, of actually correcting the external conditions which come from their lack of love. Nice. That's how you know that you have mental health. Wow. And mental illness is when you are externally searching for peace. When you are believing that if something outside of me were different, I would be happy. That's being mentally ill.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're in a body, though, you have some level of mental illness.
That's it. Thank you. That basically explains all of our condition, because that's how we got into a body. We believed that something external to us would bring us peace. That's how we got here, okay? So we talked about mental health and mental illness. Now, then it says, so I'm going to go to the part of the paragraph that says, now we're going to the next section, the reinterpretation of defenses. Okay? In this section, it goes through all the defenses that we do psychologically, all of our psychological defenses. Now, this is not in the edited version, okay? So it's going to go through withdrawal and regression and all of our favorite defenses. Denial, regression. Okay, so, and how to reinterpret them. Okay, so it goes like this. That is why the Bible speaks of, quote, the peace of God which passeth human understanding. This peace that passes human understanding is totally incapable of being shaken by human errors of any kind. The peace that passes human understanding is a peace that does what? That is incapable of being shaken by human errors of any kind. This kind of peace denies the ability of anything which is not of God to affect you in any way. Wow. Okay. If you ever wanted a peace that passes human understanding, that's what it is. It denies the ability of any human error to do what? To affect you in any way. Wow. Okay. I would like some peace right now. I am asking to understand that this human's error has no ability to affect me in any way. Now, if you pray that prayer when you are upset with some human and their errors, then you are going to have the ability or the opportunity to experience a peace that passes even your understanding. Wow. So I'm asking to understand a kind of peace. I'm asking to understand that their error, my error, has no ability to affect me in any way. And that's what I'm asking for, because I want peace above all else. Wow, that's what we're asking for. Because the lack of peace is me giving it power to affect me. My lack of peace is me giving their human error the power to affect me. I am saying it has power over me. It has power to change me. It has power over me. It has power to change me. And that is why I'm upset. Okay? And so that's how we ask for peace. All right. He says, this is the proper use of denial. Wow, that's denial in the proper sense. I deny that their error, their human error, has the ability to affect me, to change me. That's the proper use of denial. That's the kind of denial you should be in, all right? Yes, there's a denial you should be in, that kind of denial. And it says this kind of denial is not used to hide anything, but to correct error. This is how we correct errors. This is how we correct errors. I deny its power to affect me. I deny its power to affect me. I deny the power of this error to affect me. This is how your errors are corrected. This brings all your errors into the light. And since error and darkness are the same, this kind of denial corrects errors automatically. That's interesting, thinking of denial, a type of denial, as something that corrects errors automatically. Okay, now does that sound practical at all? Something that corrects errors automatically. Does that sound practical at all? Something that will correct my errors and their errors automatically. Wow, that sounds too good to be true. That kind of denial corrects errors automatically. I deny this any power to affect me, to change me, to hurt me. Wow. So let's go ahead and bring into our awareness an error right now that we recognize that we have made or that someone else around us has made. Okay, so something else that somebody else around you has done that you're upset about, or something that you've done recently that you are upset about. So bring into your awareness right now something that you can identify as your error or their error. And then say to yourself, I deny this error any ability to change me or to affect me negatively. And tell yourself the truth about it. Beautiful. All right, that's the way I like to read the Course. As soon as I hear something that could be useful to me, I'm going to stop and just say it to myself. Say it to myself. I'm going to apply it, okay? All right. And he says, true denial, which this is, true denial is a powerful, powerful protective device. Nice. Powerful protective device. Against what? Against human errors. A lot of human errors. He says this is a powerful protective device, and it's this. You can and should deny any belief that error can hurt you. This error cannot hurt me. This error cannot hurt me. Their errors cannot hurt me. My errors cannot hurt me. This error cannot hurt me. Is a powerful protective device against your own errors and against their errors. Wow. Interesting. Then it says, this kind of denial is not a concealment device, but a correction device. And the right mind of the mentally healthy depends on it. Wow. Okay, so what are you saying my mental health depends on? I do need to know what my mental health depends on, because I would like to have some mental health. My mental health depends on this kind of denial. Isn't that great? Finally, some mental health that depends on denial. Finally. It's perfect for me. It's perfect for me. You got a mental health for me that depends on denial? Because that's what I need. Because I'm full of that. I know how to be in denial. That's my specialty. So tell me about how to have a mental health that depends on that. Wow, isn't that interesting? Your mental health, the right mind of the mentally healthy, depends on this kind of denial. Wow, where you can and should deny any belief that error can hurt you. Interesting.
So this denial could correct our errors of the past as well as now, right? I mean, like if I have a pattern, I'm only afraid of it because I think it can still hurt me now.
Absolutely.
So I can use this to undo all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
If I'm willing to.
Exactly. I've got a lot of powers that I believe can affect me and hurt me, right? And so I need to be saying, this pattern cannot affect me. It cannot hurt me. This pattern of mine, even though I've had it all my life, or this pattern of theirs, right? Their pattern, their patterns cannot hurt me. Can you imagine if you even said that about their patterns instead of what we do say about their patterns? I can tell you that I hadn't been saying that recently. Their patterns cannot hurt me. Their patterns cannot hurt me. I was saying a lot about their patterns, but I sure wasn't saying that. I was not saying, and their patterns cannot hurt me. But thank you. Exactly. So whatever the error is, even if it's a pattern that you have been in for a long, long time, it's still an error. And it didn't make any distinction of errors. It didn't say only the errors you're making today, right? It just said all errors. Wow. Whew, I would love to accept that my errors cannot hurt me. Wow. If I knew that my errors could not hurt me, I would not be mentally ill.
So true.
Because my mental illness is all about my errors and what they mean about me, what they show about me, what they prove about me, and how they prove that I'm weak, that there's something wrong with me. And that I'm a failure. Basically, that's what my errors, that's the way I've been responding to my errors. First, I don't even call it an error. I just call it a sin. I know I do because I feel guilty about it. And then I invest it with all this power to determine my identity and my reality. Okay? All right. So
It seemed to me that a lot of our present errors are just because of our past errors.
That's right. Exactly.
We're repeating it or doing it again because we're still given it power. And we can wipe out a lot of the ones now if we took care of them once there.
Exactly. That's right. Every time I make an error and I don't respond by saying this cannot hurt me, then I am making more. Okay. All right, because this is the only corrective device for errors. Okay? And you know that you've made an error because you're not at peace. You're not at peace. You're not experiencing abundance. You're not experiencing mental health or physical health. You feel angry. You feel upset. That's how you know that an error has occurred. Okay? When there's not peace, when there's not joy, when there's lack, when there's anger, an error has occurred because there is no pain or grievance or lack or illness in the truth. There's no pain in the truth. There's no anger in reality. And so if there's pain or anger or sickness or lack, there must be error.
So this is the only corrective device. So I don't need to waste my time trying to fix the situation.
In your own way.
Or do anything else.
Exactly.
This is the only corrective device.
This is the only corrective device, and it's very, very powerful. And you may notice it was not your idea.
And it probably won't be my first idea the next
And it probably won't be your first idea even after this class. It probably won't even cross your mind again until you read it again. All right, but that's all right. That's just an error. And the error of not remembering a damn thing in class ever again is just an error, and it has no power to affect you. I love that. That's great, because I did need a corrective device for the error of not remembering the truth that could completely set me free right now. That it has been one of my core errors. Not remembering the ideas that release me from pain has been one of my core errors. I hear something that would work, and I promptly forget it. Wow, yes, that has been one of my core errors. And, what did it say to say? It cannot hurt me. My errors of forgetting the truth, my errors of forgetting that which helps me, it cannot hurt me. Wow, okay, that was the one I needed. All right, and the right mind of the mentally healthy depends on this kind of denial. This cannot hurt me. This is an error, and it cannot hurt me. That is an error, and it can't hurt me. That is their error, and it cannot hurt me. God, you could feel, you would be like a Superman. You would. You would experience, and I like what he said. He described it as not something that would make you strong. He describes it as a protection, a protective device. It's protective. It protects you. And if there's one thing that I would really like to experience in this seemingly very dangerous dream we call Earth, I would like to experience protection. I would like to feel safe. I would like to feel protection. Like where can I go for protection in this crazy, seemingly very dangerous, unsafe dream world we call Earth? Apparently, he calls that a very powerful protective device. This error cannot hurt me. Their errors cannot hurt me. Wow, okay. That sounds practical for me. Then the author of the course says, I have asked you to perform miracles, and I have made it clear that miracles are natural, corrective, healing, and universal. There is nothing good miracles cannot do, but miracles cannot be performed in the spirit of doubt. Wow, interesting. So our teacher is saying, I've told you, you can do anything I ask you to. And then he says, I've asked you to perform miracles. What are miracles? They're natural, corrective, and healing, and universal ideas. Wow. And so you can do them. You can do them. You know why? Because I asked you to. Okay, that's why I can do them? Because you asked me to? Yeah. You can do anything I ask you to. And I've asked you to do miracles. I've asked you to do things that are corrective, healing, natural, and universal. You can do them, but you can't do them in the spirit of doubt. You can't do them while you're saying, no, I can't. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. You can do whatever our teacher asks, but you can't do them when you are in doubt, when you're telling yourself you can't do them. So it's like this. You can do it if you accept that you can do it because our teacher has asked you to do it. Interesting. So what is the end of doubting that I can do miracles? Okay. I'd like to know that I could do miracles, that I could work corrective, healing, and universal miracles. I'd like to be able to know that I could do that. So that's going to require me going, I can do them not because I'm so awesome. I can do them not because I did my workbook lesson today. I can do them because I was asked to. Wow. I can facilitate a miracle in this situation that's really calling for help. Not because I'm so great, but because I was asked to. Nice. That's the spirit in which you can work miracles. Nice. All right. You said I could do it, so all right, that's fine. I guess I can. Then fine, use me.
It said that you can't do them in doubt. And the Course says all doubt is self-doubt.
That's exactly right.
That's what it is with the miracle things. We think we have to do
That's
it.
exactly right.
And
Exactly.
all he's asking is, here, carry this over there for me.
Exactly. Here, take that. Take that over there for me, will you? Exactly. So the spirit of doubt is like this. Oh my God, I have to know how to do it, and I suck. What if I fail? Oh my God, I don't know what to do. That's the spirit of the doubt. The spirit in which you are able to do exactly what your teacher asks you to do is the spirit that goes, well, I'm not the one doing it, and since my teacher asked me to do it, then I guess I can do it. And why? Because my teacher is the one doing it. Now that is the spirit in which you can do exactly what our teacher asks you to do. Nice. Okay, well, I can do that. All right. Look, as long if my teacher's going to do it for me, then surely I can do it. Yes.
So it says that the miracles are natural, corrective, healing, and universal. And so that would imply that my denial isn't just for me.
You mean the correct use of denial isn't just for you?
Yeah, because it's universal. So
That's right.
it's not just natural for me, or corrective for me, or healing for me. It's universal
That's exactly.
for the whole situation.
When you perform a miracle, Did he use the word perform? Yes. When you perform a miracle, it's universal. It's universal.
I can see why our ego would want to keep us away
Yeah,
from it.
absolutely. Because I just want something that's just for me, or for you know who. Right.
Well, I want to feel better, but I don't really want them to.
Exactly. Right, yes, of course. And it's natural. It's universal and it's natural. Nice. All right. Then it says, God and the souls God created. I love that. That's in the original, but not the edited. God and the souls God created. So in the original, he talks about the souls of God. In the edited, it says more like the sons of God. Okay? So in case the term sons of God doesn't turn you on, then here it's saying the souls of God, which I really like. The souls of God. It's non-gender specific, and it's non-gender specific. Okay? God and the souls God created are completely dependent on each other. Wow, are you saying that I am completely dependent on God and God is completely dependent on me? Wow, poor God. Poor God. I'm sorry, God, that you are completely dependent on me. All right.
And does it also not mean that we're dependent on each other?
Yeah. Yes, God and the souls he created are completely dependent on each other. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting thought to think that God is completely dependent on you. Wow, that's not a thought I ever had. I thought God could just not be bothered by me, right? But God is completely dependent on you. That's a deep thought. God needs you as much as you need God. That's a deep thought. Now, how could you have low self-esteem if you believed and accepted that? What would happen to your low self-esteem if you knew that God was as dependent on you as you really are on him? Wow. And then it says the creation of the soul, this is in the original, not the edited. The creation of the soul, I love that. So instead of the sonship, it's the soul. Isn't that beautiful? The creation of the soul has already been perfectly accomplished, but the creation by souls has not already been perfectly accomplished. In other words, what we are to create has not been perfectly accomplished yet. God created souls so that God could depend on them. Why? Because God created them perfectly. Okay, that's interesting. God, what does it say? I gotta say it again myself. God created souls so he could depend on them because he created them perfectly. Isn't that interesting? Then it says, God gave his souls, or the soul, his peace. Why? So that they could not be shaken. Which means so that we would be unable to be deceived. Interesting. Okay, now I love hearing that. God gave his souls his peace so that we could remain unshaken. Which means basically you have God's peace. He gave it to you so that you could be unshaken, which means unable to be deceived. So when I'm shaken by what? Fear, doubt, I am deceived. And he says, and whenever you are afraid, you are deceived. Wow. Okay, so I want you to bring to your awareness right now something that you are afraid of. Something that you've been afraid of today or recently. And I want you to tell yourself, I'm afraid because I'm deceived. I'm afraid because I've deceived myself. I'm deceived because I'm afraid. Right now I'm shaken. Wow. I'm shaken by this. I'm afraid of this. I am deceived. Wow. Now, what is the answer or the antidote or the correction of the being shaken or deceived by something? is to recognize that you have been given by God His peace. What's the antidote to the fear? The peace that you have been given. Wow. Even just to say, I have been given God's peace. I have it. In last week's section, it said, peace is an attribute in you. And we were talking about peace like being like an organ in your body. It's an attribute in you. That's why mental illness is some form of external seeking. Because peace is an attribute inside of you. Peace is an attribute in you. It's not something that you can ever access by externally searching for it. It's an internal attribute. Well, it's interesting. So when I'm afraid and when I'm feeling shaken, I need to tell myself I'm deceived. And then I need to call upon the peace that's already there. I call upon the peace that is already there. I call upon the peace that is an attribute in me. I call upon the peace that God has given to His souls. And you call upon that. Now, when you call upon that, that's how you access it. That's how you remember it. That's how you access it. Interesting. This book is just full of answers I have never thought of. Even still, after 30 years of reading it, I'm still like, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll try that sometime. I should do that. All right.
So by that, it's our peace that corrects our errors and that denies our fear. And that's why that works. It's our peace that does that.
Exactly. It's the peace that has been given us. Interesting. Interesting to think of. Like, we tend to think of peace as something you find, something you get, something you look for, something you find, right? And he's saying, actually, it's something you've already been given. Who knew? Who knew? God, have I been deceived? God, have I been deceived? I could have sworn that peace was anywhere and everywhere besides in me already. And not something that I have to find or create or make, but something that was just already given, already there, that was built in. Peace was built in to me. It's an attribute in me. Wow. I love it. And so he says, whenever you are afraid, you are deceived. Deceived by what? Oh, I think that something not of God has the power to hurt me. I think something not of God has power to hurt me. I'm deceived. Then he says, you're deceived because your mind is not serving the soul, period. Okay, that's interesting. I'm afraid because my mind isn't serving the soul. And I love it. This soul is capitalized. Now, I think in the edited version, I think it says the spirit. I'm not sure. But I like that. I'm afraid because my mind isn't serving the soul. The soul. Interesting. I like that.
That means when you tune into that, it's not only your own soul or spirit, it's everyone's.
Yeah, it's...
In other words, what's going to be good for you is going to be good for them.
Exactly.
There's not that one of you can win thing.
Exactly. I mean, I like saying, instead of I am a son of God or, I am the soul of God. Like, I'm the soul. Or I'm part of the soul of God. Like, the Course says God has, in the edited version, it says God has only one son. Right? I like it. It's like God has only one soul. And we're it. Hello? We're it. Okay? Now, it says, when you are afraid, it's because your mind is not serving the soul. What is your mind serving? Error. Your mind is serving fear. Your mind is serving error. When you're afraid, your mind is serving. Your mind is bowing down. When you're afraid, you are worshiping error. You are worshiping the ego. When you are afraid, you are serving your ego or the ego. When you are afraid, you're like, oh, ego, you are so powerful. Oh, ego of them, you are so powerful. Oh, ego, you are so powerful. You are more powerful than I am. You have power to hurt me. I serve you. That is what is happening when we are afraid. We are serving the ego, worshiping it, giving it power to hurt us. Whew, God, I was deceived because I was sure that that's not what being afraid meant. I was sure that me being afraid was just me being intelligent and me being a mature adult. I was sure that that's what my fear was indicating, that I was a mature, intelligent adult who was seeing correctly and responding appropriately to reality.
So mature.
So mature. So mature. Oh, ego, I worship you. You tell me what's reality. Wow. So, I like that. I like that. He says the reinterpretation of defenses. Please reinterpret for me my fear. Please reinterpret for me this fear that I'm experiencing right now. Because my fear is telling me that I am very vulnerable and very weak relative to my own mistakes that I have made. I am believing right now that the mistakes I've made, my patterns, are my doom. And I am doomed. And that's the way I feel right now, and that's the way I'm seeing it. Wow. And so I'm asking for a reinterpretation of my fear. Here's the reinterpretation. You are being deceived. You are deceiving yourself. Wow. And your mind is not serving the soul. And so you could just as easily say, I would now like my mind to serve the soul instead of these mistakes. I no longer want my mind to serve these mistakes as I see them. Now I want my mind to serve the soul. And he says, now, your mind, when you are afraid, your mind is not serving the soul. When your mind is not serving the soul, this literally starves the soul by denying the soul's daily bread. Wow. Interesting. When you are afraid, you are not serving the soul, and when you don't serve the soul, it starves the soul. Isn't that great? That's perfect. When you're not serving the soul, you're starving the soul. When you're not serving your soul, you're starving your soul. And when you're afraid, you're not serving your soul. When you're afraid, you're going...
If I'm afraid, I could just say, I'm starving my soul today.
I'm starving my soul today. I'm saying to my soul, screw you. You don't deserve to eat. Starve. Starve, soul. Starve, you soul. Who do you think you are, soul? I'm not going to feed you today. You suck. I'm going to serve fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend.
That's right.
Fear, my friend. My friend, fear, who's always been there for me. To help me judge everyone and everything. And make me safe. All by myself. My friend.
We hope you're all by yourself when that goes.
That's what it is. Because that's always what my fear tells me. Just be by yourself. No one understands you anyway. Right. They're the real reason that you're not, Wow. When you're not serving the soul, you're starving your soul. And when you're being afraid, you're starving your soul. Your soul is like, hello? Oh, hello? remember me? I'm hungry. And you're like, "Pfft. Screw you. What'd you ever do for me? Besides, you're universal. Pfft. I don't have any time for something that's universal." Right? Just like you said. You say that to everyone, soul. Soul's like, I love you. I love you. And you're like, yeah, you say that to everybody. I'm going to go for my ego, who tells me things just for me. I don't want to be with the soul who tells everybody the same thing.
Watch out now.
I don't want to be with the soul who loves everybody equally. Please. All right.
That shut everybody up.
I know. Could have heard a pin drop. I think that is my grievance with the soul. It loves everyone equally. Its love is universal. And I just have no use for that.
It doesn't even know what they did.
Ew.
Yeah.
And that damn soul, it doesn't agree with me about how it's their problem. I don't have time for that. I do not have time for that. Wow. All right. Okay, then it says, God offers only mercy. Only is italicized. Your words should reflect only mercy, because only mercy is what you have received, and only mercy is what you should give. Oh. Oops. I guess I've been a little deceived. Only mercy. Interesting. Okay, so that is good to remember that the only thing that I have received is only mercy. The only thing that God has ever given me is only mercy. Wow. Only mercy is the only thing. That's all I have received. Only mercy. With all the mistakes I've made through all my life and all my lifetimes, if you believe in that, the only thing that God has ever given me, the only thing I've ever received is only mercy. Wow. From God. And that's the only thing that I should be given. Okay. Well, indeed, I have been deceived, because I did not perceive the only mercy that I have received. Wow. But now I know what my new goal is. So it doesn't matter that I have not realized that that's all I've received. And it doesn't matter that I've given something besides mercy, and that my words have reflected something besides only mercy. That was an error. And that error of me giving something besides mercy has no power to hurt me. It has not hurt me. It has not hurt me. And the other people around me, they're not only mercy that they gave me, has not hurt me. It was an error, and it has no power to hurt me. It has not hurt me. It cannot hurt me. The not mercy that I gave cannot hurt me, and their not mercy that they gave me cannot hurt me. Wow. And that's the correction of the giving something besides mercy. Mercy. Mercy! Interesting.
Well, that's our block. It's our healing and it's our block. I mean, if I can only give mercy, I can't keep a grievance and give mercy.
Right.
As soon as I do give mercy, then I'm going to get it, and my grievance will be gone.
That's right. Exactly.
But it's because I wanted to keep my grievance that I won't go there.
That's exactly right. Isn't that funny? I won't give only mercy because I've given grievances.
As soon as I will give it, I'm going to get it.
I don't know I've received only mercy because I haven't given only mercy. Now, isn't that interesting that he's talking right after talking about starving your soul of its daily bread, then it goes on to talk about that God has given you only mercy. Isn't that interesting? Don't starve your soul anymore of its daily bread.
Give your soul mercy.
Give only mercy. I wonder if there's a connection. Interesting. The daily bread that your soul needs, that your soul is starving for. Has anybody here ever experienced a starving soul? I think that we call that depression or disappointment or despair or just boredom. I'm bored.
Anger.
Anger.
Or call for love.
Call for
My
love.
preference lately has been cancer.
Oh, cancer.
It
Perfect.
seems to be really, it packs a punch.
No doubt.
Just being a little afraid, a little guilty, that's for
Oh, yeah, that's for wusses.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Yes, yeah, thank you.
I'm definitely starving my soul.
That's right, and all the synonyms that we just said they're all just synonyms for I'm starving my soul. My soul is starving. Wow. And so the only antidote for a starving soul is to feed your soul. And the way to feed your soul is to serve your soul. And what is the favorite, most nutritious dish of a soul?
Denial.
Mercy. Mercy. Wow. Interesting. And not so much the mercy I receive, but the mercy I give. That's how I feed my soul when I give mercy. My soul goes, oh, thank you. That was so delicious. When I give mercy, which is just another way of going, call for love, that's a call for love. Oh, their call for love has no power to hurt me. Their call for love cannot hurt me. Ooh, call for love, my call for love, that call for love cannot hurt me, cannot hurt them. That's mercy. When I see your error as a call for love that can't hurt me, I am giving you mercy. When you see my errors as me calling for love in a way that has no power to hurt you, then you are offering me mercy. Wow. And then your soul is not starving, and then you are not afraid. Nice.
So I'm going to deny my grievance, that I ever had a grievance, and then I'm going to be merciful.
Yes. You're going to deny the power of your grievance
The power of the anger.
to hurt you or someone else.
And then doesn't that cancel out your guilt that you used to project? to
Yes.
the other person,
That's
or
exactly
to the
right.
other situation.
Because remember, saying that their call for love or my call for love has no power to hurt us is the most protective and powerful corrective device there is. It protects and corrects. It protects and corrects this correct use of denial. Wow.
People are going to be around forever. You're never going to be able to get rid of them. You're going to have them just always there because you won't have those grievances. It's going to be, we have so many friends, it's just going to be unbelievable.
I know. Look, okay. Let's just, I know.
Yeah, I don't see how this works.
I mean, Thank you for
Well,
sharing.
it's interesting, I'm sitting there, mercy, when do we give mercy? It's the giving of mercy is just the giving of love in a particular form. Mercy is what we give to those who have been condemned.
Yes,
You don't ask for mercy before.
you've been condemned.
Yes, so
Exactly.
when you give mercy, it's the uncondemning of those you condemn,
Exactly.
yourself or others.
Yes, thank
And
you.
that is,
It's a commuting of a sentence.
that's right.
I will offer you mercy. I offer you mercy.
It's
Does-
a privilege.
Yes, exactly. I will stoop to offer you mercy. I will commute your sentence. Wow.
I will deny your errors.
Exactly. I deny your errors the power to hurt me. I love you. Wow. But really, that is what I mostly need from my friends. I need them to not, I need my friends to recognize that my ego cannot hurt them. That's the main thing I need from, because I do have an ego, and I am mistaken most of the time, okay? And so I am asking my friends to remember that my ego, when I'm in my ego, that my ego cannot hurt them. Wow. Because that will correct my ego. That will correct my ego. And like it said, if I will deny their ego power to hurt me, then I correct their ego. And all the conditions that came from their ego and their error. Woo! Okay, so if I deny the power of their errors or their ego to hurt me, then I deny all the effects of their error. That's pretty powerful. That is powerful. That's so powerful, I am going to completely forget that very soon. Okay. Then it says, the next paragraph, it says justice, and you talk about mercy. Now we're going to talk about justice, okay? Justice is a temporary expedient. What's that? An attempt to teach man the meaning of mercy. Oh. Justice is an attempt to teach man the meaning of mercy, since we do not know the meaning of mercy. What does mercy mean? Well, it's something like justice. Okay, that's interesting, because we think of justice as punishment, right? Right. Apparently it's the opposite, of course. It says, justice's judgmental side arises only because man is capable of injustice. Interesting. Now, if that is what his mind creates, you are afraid of God's will because you've used your own will, which God created in the likeness of his own, to miscreate or to judge. Wow, that's why we're afraid of God's will. I don't want to know God's will, because look what my will did. And if God's will is anything like my will, forget about it. I am not interested. I don't want to know what God's will is. I don't want to know what the mind of God is or wants because of what my mind has wanted. Then it says, what you do not realize is that the mind can miscreate only when the mind isn't free. Okay? I can be afraid, I can miscreate, I can judge only when my mind isn't free. Oh, I am miscreating, I'm judging and fearing and offering something besides mercy because my mind isn't free. What do you mean my mind isn't free? You have an imprisoned mind. You have an imprisoned mind. What's an imprisoned mind? Well, a mind that's imprisoned isn't free because it's possessed or held back by itself. Ooh. Interesting. My mind is imprisoned by me.
Let me out.
Because I'm holding it back. My mind wants to be free, but I am holding it back. And I'm saying, no, you cannot be free, mind. You cannot be free. I'm holding you back. I'm going to hold you back with what? Fear. Something besides mercy, judgment. Wow, interesting. And I can only miscreate. I can only extend crap when my mind is being held back or imprisoned by myself. Wow, interesting. So I am imprisoning my own mind. Interesting. And that's why I am miscreating, or that's how I am miscreating. Interesting.
Or not creating.
Or not creating. Interesting. So if I wasn't, it's an interesting concept, imprisoning your own mind. I've certainly thought of my mind being imprisoned by someone else, but I tend not to understand that I'm imprisoning my own mind. I'm holding it back. And when you hold your mind back, meaning you don't let it be free, then your mind can do nothing than produce errors. That's what it means to miscreate. You just making errors, making errors, making errors, making errors. Wow.
Accepting error as truth.
Exactly, accepting error as truth. Interesting. And so when your mind is being possessed and held back and imprisoned by you, then your will is therefore limited, which means not free to assert itself. Interesting. I'm not allowing my mind and my will to assert itself. I imprison my mind, and so my will is not free to assert itself. Interesting. Well, it says the real meaning of, quote, are of one mind, unquote, which was mentioned before, is, quote, are of one mind or will, unquote. And so, when the will of the family of God and the Father are one, their perfect accord is heaven. Okay. So when our will and the will of God are in perfect accord, when we want the same thing that God wants, then the result is heaven. When I want only what God wants, then the result for me is going to be heaven. And what's heaven? It is a state of no lack and no need. Can you imagine? The Garden of Eden, a state of no lack and no need. Whew. When our mind is in perfect accord with the will of God. Interesting. Now, interesting that it goes on to say, when your will is out of accord with the will of God, right after talking about how we have imprisoned our mind. And so now our mind is not free to assert itself. Interesting. So like our mind being free to assert itself is the same as saying my will and the will of God are one. And anytime I'm saying anything besides that's what I want, anytime I'm saying anything besides what I want is the will of God, I am holding my mind back. I'm imprisoning it. I'm not letting it be free to assert itself. I'm not letting it be free. Wow. I wouldn't have known that that's what it meant to be free.
Is this our prison that we make? That would be any belief in limits? I mean, a limit would be a prison, right?
Yes.
It's something that holds you back. It's a wall, or so those would be how we create this prison.
Yes.
Is our belief in this limit and that limit and all these things
Exactly.
that we believe in and think are there.
And the ultimate limit is this, but my belief that I want something besides what God wants for me. I don't want to know what God wants for me. I'm sure it entails some kind of sacrifice. Why? Because that's what I want for myself and others. I want other people to sacrifice for my love, right? And so I'm just sure that that's what God's love wants for me. I don't want to know. And if my human love demands the kind of sacrifice I know it does, then what does God's love demand? So I don't want to know God's will. Well, that is the ultimate limit. That's the ultimate. That's holding your mind back. Your mind is only free to exert itself and to extend when your mind wants what God wants, which is that you be free and that you be one with the universe, all creation. God wants you to be one with all creation, and to have what all creation has. That's what God wants for you.
I'd rather doubt that.
Would you say you doubt that?
I'd rather doubt that.
Exactly. Because I don't want that for everybody. So the Course says you cannot. You cannot conceive of a God unlike yourself. I remember I heard that, I was like, oh God, that's terrible. No wonder I'm afraid of God. No wonder I'm afraid to ask God what God's will for me is. I don't want to know what God's will for me is. What's your plan for me, God? What's your will for me, God? I don't want to know. I'm afraid. How do I know I'm afraid? Because I don't ask. I don't ask.
Yeah.
The Course says, listen, before you do anything, ask if it's in accordance with my will for you. And how often do we do that? Why do I not do that? Because I'm afraid of God's will. Because I can't conceive of God's will or God's mind thinking unlike mine. And when I don't ask for and want the will of God or God's plan for my happiness, it is the ultimate limit that I can put on my mind. Because anything I'm going to come up for myself is going to be limiting and limited. And so when I'm not asking for the will of God and I don't want to know that, then I am imprisoning my mind and I am holding it back so that it cannot be free to exert itself. Interesting.
So that statement of you can't conceive of God different
As
than
unlike
you,
yourself.
that would be the ultimate awakening. I mean, when I finally see myself correctly, I will see God.
That's right,
Or when I
exactly.
finally see God, I will see myself correctly.
Exactly.
We see God as we see the illusion we have made of ourselves, not as we see ourselves,
Exactly.
but what we think we are.
Exactly.
And we will, those two, it seems to me, will come together. When you see one finally, really,
That's
you'll
right.
see the other.
That's exactly right. To know God is to know yourself, and to know yourself is to know God.
Without all your illusions.
Without all your illusions. Wow. So I wonder what my mind would be like if I wasn't imprisoning it. I wonder what it would be like to experience an unimprisoned mind. Like, this is my mind in prison. You've started seeing those commercials, this is your brain on drugs. This is your mind in prison. Your prison. And you're the jailer. Wow. What would your mind be like? What could you do with your mind if you weren't holding it back? What would you be able to do with your mind if you weren't holding it back? What would you be able to do with your mind if it was free to exert itself? Wow. Interesting. And I know I haven't allowed my mind to be free to exert itself because, notice, I don't really use it. I'm not really, you ever heard somebody say, use your mind, use your brain? I know I'm not using it. How do I know I'm not really using my mind? Because when an issue comes up, I don't say, hey mind, what would be a totally creative resolution of this? I don't do that. I go, let me go back to my past. Let me just go back. It's convenient, it's easy, it's already happened. I don't have to think about it. I'll just go to my past and just use the past. Do what I've already done in the past. I don't have to think about it. Wow. So now I'm wondering, gee, what could I do with my mind if it was free to exert itself, if I wasn't holding it back with fear? Okay, so now we want to think about fear as a way that we hold our mind back. It's like we're reining it in. Fear is like you're reining your mind in. Fear is reining your mind in so that your mind is imprisoned, held back, and not free to exert itself. Wow. Now, mercy would be me allowing my mind to be free to exert itself. Because mercy is what? The will of God. Because we just heard, God has offered you only mercy, so should you. God's will for you is mercy. God offered you only mercy. And so when you offer only mercy, then now your will and God's will are one. God, you gave me only mercy, now I only want to give mercy.
So that denial says this does not have the power to hurt me, whatever this is.
Mercy
Really, that's-
is, thank you, mercy is saying this error does not have power to hurt me.
So
Nice.
fear is just saying this has the power to hurt me,
Fear is saying this has power to hurt me.
whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. My fear is like, this does have power to hurt me because I deserve it. That's what my fear tells me. This has power to hurt me because I deserve it. Now, I don't say that. That's not what I say like that. But I'm afraid of it because secretly I believe I deserve it. And why do I secretly believe I deserve to suffer? Because I have not given only mercy. Far from it. And so I'm afraid of it because I believe that I believe I deserve it. And when I believe I deserve it, then I believe it does have power to hurt me. Because I believe I deserve to be hurt. Because I have had a will to hurt. AKA not being real merciful.
So you think that then if we would give mercy, that will undo that belief this has power to hurt me?
When I offer mercy, it undoes the belief that this has power to hurt me. Thank you. I believe this has power to hurt me because I believe I deserve to be hurt. Because I gave hurt. Wow. So when I stop giving hurt, and I start giving only mercy, then I won't believe I deserve to be hurt, and I will accept that this has no power to hurt me. Hallelujah. All right. Does that seem like a good place to stop today? Yes! All right. Okay. Wow.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your expressions of appreciation. Thank you for your expressions of financial appreciation. I profoundly appreciate them. I do this for a living. And the church thanks you. The Miracle Center thanks you. All right. So, if you want to learn more about my holistic counseling practice, or if you'd like to schedule a miracle psychotherapeutic session with me, go to my website at Kujawa.com. I do sessions all over the world through Skype and the phone. So I do miracle psychotherapeutic sessions where I take the psychology of the course and the miracle principles of the course to combine them to apply to whatever you're going through to produce miracles, transformations. All right. So I don't do counseling anymore. I do miracle psychotherapeutic sessions. Okay. I also facilitate a meditation and prayer class every Wednesday evening. And what we're doing there is we are learning how to focus and discipline the mind through meditation. And then we take that mental, spiritual focus and we train it on the planet. Okay? So I realized that I had not been very merciful to the planet. I had been giving something besides only mercy to the planet. And if I really wanted world peace, like I said I did, then I was going to need to start putting my money where my mouth was and start praying for the planet. And offering mercy to the planet. Okay? And so in this class, we are learning how to focus the mind and then take that focus and then pray for the planet as one with us. Okay? It's a great way to offer mercy to everyone at one time. Okay? Since we don't know everybody personally, it's a great way to just give mercy to everyone as one in one simple hour. Okay? So that's every Wednesday. And I have flyers for that somewhere, but see me or text me for information on that if you're interested.
Where do
It's
you do
it's every Wednesday.
Here?
No, it's at my home, and you'll have to text me for directions because I'm not going to give them out onto the internet.
Why?
Well, because I have an ego that does not believe I deserve only mercy yet. That's why. And I happen to say lots of things that the ego feels very offended by. And so I don't know where I don't want the ego to know where I live. Or where I shop. And so if you want directions to my home, you have to text me. And then I will do a background check on you. See if there's any mug shots out there of you. See if they're good. And if they look better than my mug shot, you can't come to my house. All right. Okay, so now we're going to do an integration meditation, and that's where we take the ideas that we heard and just take them a little deeper than here, and let them percolate down, and maybe even use them. Okay? All right. So. Okay. So I want you to close your eyes and just tune into how you feel right now. Just tune in and breathe. How does it feel to hear these ideas? How do these ideas feel in your mind? How do they feel in your body? Take note of how the truth feels when you allow it in. Enjoy it. Beautiful. Now I want you to bring to your awareness a situation recently or today where you experience fear. And I want you to just take note of how that fear felt, the things that that fear was showing you. And I want you to also take note of the hurt that you believed that it could do. And I want you to look into that fear for a moment. I want you to see if you can identify the error in that fear. And I want you to identify how you believed that that error could hurt you or someone else. And if that fear centered around someone else's error, I want you to identify how you believe that their error could hurt you or them. And now I want you to apply to that error and the belief in the hurt that it could cause. And I want you to apply the most powerful, protective, and corrective device that you could use for correcting error. And I want you to tell yourself the truth about this error. This error cannot hurt me, or this error cannot hurt them. We're telling ourselves the truth about errors. Their error, your error. And then let's let our teacher remind us that our teacher said, "You can do anything I ask." And I have asked you to deny the ability of this error to affect you or hurt you. You can do anything I ask. And I ask you to deny the ability of this error to hurt you or them. And I want you to tell yourself further truth about this error and the fear. And I want you to tell yourself, I am deceived in this fear, in this error. I have been deceived in this fear. And now I choose to serve the soul. I have been deceived, and now I choose to serve the soul. And the way that I'm going to serve my soul its daily bread is now, in this holy instant, I'm going to offer only mercy to myself or them. And now, go ahead and offer yourself or them only mercy. If you were going to be offering yourself or them only mercy, what would you be saying to them or yourself? And if you were to hear the only mercy that God has offered you, what might you be hearing from God? What might God's words be to you if you were hearing God's mercy for you? And as you are giving mercy and receiving mercy, I want you to see if you can imagine or experience your own mind being let out of prison. Your own mind being free once again to exert itself, its power, its love, its creativity. For a moment, see what it feels like to feel forgiven, having received only mercy. For just a moment, see what it feels like to have your only will be to offer mercy to everyone and everything, including yourself. want you to remind your soul and feed your soul by saying, my only will is mercy. My only will is mercy. And feel what that feels like. Feel the purity of that purpose. Feel the innocence of that purpose. This is how we feel innocent once more. My only will is mercy.